Hello, and welcome to 5 Minute Math. Today we are looking at the fourth grade concept of measuring angles. This is Readiness Practice 4.7c, the intermediate version. If you are interested in exploring the proficient or advanced versions of 4.7c, or the Readiness Practice resources aligned with any other standard, you can find those by using the link in the video description. So we have a protractor here, and we actually have an angle drawn with two different rays that meet right at the center. And we need to simply find the measure of this angle. All right, so when we are finding the measure of this angle, what we want to do is we want to subtract the difference, right, between the measure of both of these rays. And so we've got this angle right there. And so we'll look at this first ray, and you see it goes right through the 0, 180 line. Okay, now we can measure it either way. And so we can say that this first ray lands on both the 0 or the 180. The 0 is going to end up being easier. And then the second ray right here lands right on that 80 and that 100. Now we can use both to subtract. You just need to make sure you always subtract inside and inside or outside and outside. So my inside and inside I will circle in green. That's 80 minus 0. So 80 minus 0 equals 80. That's why when you get one of the rays landing on that horizontal line, that's the 0, it's on the inside on the right, it's on the outside on the left, then it's pretty simple because you're just going to use the other measurement as your measurement. But if you wanted to measure on the outside, you would also get the same thing. You would get this 180. Now you have to flip it because you want that larger number to come first. 180 minus 100 also equals 80. So you can measure by the inside or the outside. If you have one of these rays that land on the horizontal, it's easier just to measure on the one that has the 0 because then you can just take the other measure. But either way we look at it, this measure is 80 degrees. And so we'll mark it with 80, and that little circle means degrees, and that's our unit of measurement. So we need to draw another ray to form a 45-degree angle. So let's take what we learned there. Since it is landing on that 0, 180, right, let's go ahead and just make it easier, and let's just mark that 0, right, and that's going to be 10, 20, 30, 40. Think of it like a curved ruler. 45 is going to be right there because it's right between the 40 and the 50. So let's get a straight line, and let's make it red to match. What we need to do is we need to make sure that it starts right at that center, and we want it to see how it's giving us that 45.2. It's giving us even the correct measure, assuming that the other line is straight. So it works because the other line is straight, and it only would work if the other line has that straight horizontal line. So we've got that right there, and let's go ahead and draw a little arrow off to the side. All right, so that's going to be a 45-degree angle because we've got one line on the 0, one ray on the 0, the other on the 45. We could also measure on the outside if we wanted to, right? We really could. We can say 180 minus, and this is between 130 and 140, so that's going to be 135. And that also equals 45 degrees. So whether you measure on the inside or outside, you're still going to get the same measure. In this case, the inside just happens to be a lot easier because one of the rays is on 0. So now we need to draw two different angles for 90 degrees, and then let's write the equation, the subtraction equation that's going to show how we figured out that it's 90. All right, so we'll start with probably the simplest one. And so the simplest 90 degrees is, let's start with one line right here on the, see if we can get it right there on that bottom. There we go. On that 0, 0 line, or that 0, 180 line. Okay. And then we'll get the other one going straight up and down. Okay. And so if we do that, and we've got one going side to side, one going straight up and down, that's going to end up being a right angle. So this is 90 degrees. So the equation would be 90 minus 0, right? Because this is 90 either way you look at it, equals that 90 degrees we're looking for. Okay, so there's my 90 degrees. Now let's look at this other one and let's challenge ourselves. Let's make it not have a ray on 0. So how would we do that? Well, I'm just going to pick a random ray right here. So let's go to this right here. All right, so I'm going to pick one of the multiples of 10. So we're going to land right there on, we can count it 60 or 120. And so what I need is I need one that is 90 degrees away. So if I wanted to, I could think this is like a ruler and I could skip count by tens. So let's do that. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. So I can make my other go straight there. And then I can go through this one right here. And if I wanted to, I could have skip counted on the outside. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. See, it's still going to be 90. So let's get this. Now, I can write the equation. So that's also going to be a right angle. It's just rotated a little bit. Two different ways to write this. I can write this outside, outside. So my outside and my larger number is going to be that 150 minus, and that's 60. That equals 90 degrees. Or we could also have done inside, inside. And so we'll do that with orange. We could have done 120 and 30. You only need one of these, but I'll show you both. Either way you look at it, you're going to end up with 90 degrees. And so your angles and equations may vary because as long as they're 90 degrees, they're fine, but you might not have chosen to put your rays on the exact same numbers that I did. So if you were interested in exploring the 4.7C Readiness Practice resource for the proficient or the advanced version, or the Readiness Practice resources aligned with any other standard, you can find those by using the link in the video description.